It's 2021 आज 18th of April है आप लोगों ने देखा how we kind of relocated from Mumbai and came to this new place for us Dehradun कैसे हम लोग settled हुए. We had a series the non-Paharis, we had 4 series 1 2 3 4 link ऊपर है. इन 3 सालों में हम लोगों ने बड़े सारे नई चीजें देखा, a lot of new things we experienced. And a very important thing that happened to us is that we became parents to a lovely young little boy whom we प्यार से मनन बोलते हैं. And that's one of the best things to have happened after we've come here. But और एक चीज जो हुआ है इस दौरान, and that we've experienced, and I'm sure आप सब ने experience किया है, and अभी भी कर रहे हैं, and I don't know कब तक हम लोग करेंगे, is the unheard of. हम लोगों ने normally ये चीजें films में देखा है और we've kind of read it in science fiction stories, the pandemic. So we are in lockdown right now. अभी 2021 April, हम just about I think 7-8 days back, we've kind of got into the curfew mode. Lockdown नहीं है, but the curfew mode is there, and weekend curfews लगे हुए हैं. A lot of restrictions, interstate travel restrictions दोबारा लग चुके हैं. This is the second wave, as they are calling it, the second wave of the pandemic, the second wave of the coronavirus crisis, जो हमारे country में it's sweeping across. They are saying it's much more deadlier, much more infectious. Kids are getting infected. So हम लोग काफी worried हैं, and we're taking all the possible precautions. We got a little 15-month-old kid with us. So obviously it's a cause of concern, worry for, of course, us and everybody alike. 2020 March is when it all started in our country, and of course January, February वो China, Wuhan में हम लोग सारा सुन रहे थे. We were seeing in the news that lockdown was happening, something called quarantine, which we normally heard in science fiction films, was actually playing out on the TV screens as in news channels in Wuhan. So it was unbelievable. But कहीं ना कहीं डर हमें था. I mean, I personally felt that okay, if it's happening in China, in today's world where we are all interconnected to each other through trade, through commerce, through travel, leisure, etc., exchange programs, so it is inevitable हमारा country में भी होने ही वाला. And well, my fears came true, and it did start off. Kerala is when is where the first cases were kind of being found, from students or I think workers. I'm not able to recollect well, but I think 3 or 4 cases were kind of traced in Kerala, the very first cases, and the country was still kind of was relaxed, thinking ये नहीं होएगा यहाँ पे. But then eventually in March, immediately after Holi, I think the lockdowns were kind of put in place. The entire country went into a lockdown. Initially 21 दिन के लिए lockdown was planned, and then obviously, I mean, as we all know it, the lockdown went on and on and on, and finally somewhere around end of October or November is when the lockdown was kind of eased. But by then, unfortunately, a lot of people had lost their lives. A lot of people had kind of lost their livelihoods. The common man was suffering. The ones who were not very well-to-do or marginal, living in the edge of the poverty line, they were definitely suffering a lot. And the entire population, everybody, I mean, the frontline workers, in this case, the doctors, the police, everybody, they were all suffering. So it was a tough time. And come October, November and December, the cases, jo 98,000 cases per day, which was at the peak. I think it was around September 2020, and people were kind of absolutely this panic. So it started easing down, and it eased. The cases kind of fell down. January 2021 was good. February 2021 was great. People thought the vaccines had kind of arrived, and a certain segment of the population were being kind of given vaccines, obviously the elderly to start off. Then, of course, before that, were the frontline, warriors, as we call it, the doctors, nurses, etc., police. They were given the vaccines. Then the elderly were given. Uske baad, obviously, anyone who is above the age of 45 with complications hai jinke paas, health care, so those people were kind of are still being administered the vaccine. So there was a sense of relief, and people started feeling that things were getting back to normal. Cases had died down, 6-7 thousand in the entire country of 130 odd crore population. So the rallies started to happen, the functions started to happen, the weddings happened, the events happened, the travel industry opened up, malls opened up, people started moving around just like it was. The festivities started, and today the cases are 260,000 and beyond a day, and there is absolute panic across the country. I mean, there is issues in the ICU bed availability, oxygen, and itne sare problems ho rahe. Now in this period, of course, we have been kind of shooting on and off. We've been kind of recording our everyday experiences. We have a baby also. We had the urge to travel also, which we had to curtail, obviously, not only because of us, but also had to ensure that we are not the carriers of the infection. So right from the very beginning, the day when it was kind of announced, the lockdown, tab se leke aaj tak, and I'm sure beyond, this experience that I think is a once in a lifetime experience is what we have been capturing. Not really as a news or an event capturing or incidences or warning, but our personal experiences, day-to-day experiences, and what are we doing every day, the challenges, small or large, and everything around it. So this series is about us during the pandemic, and we've called it the Pandemic Files. And so I welcome you to this series. It's going to start all the way from 2020, somewhere around March when it all began, and then it's going to carry on forward jab tak ye hoega, the pandemic. So have fun, and all I can say is please take care of yourself.